We're going to turn our attention to matters Kilkenny after yesterday's brilliant performance in that semi-final win over Clare. Delighted to say the former Kilkenny star Aidan Taggy Fogarty joins us on the line now. Morning, Taggy, how are things?
Morning, guys. Things are all good, thank God. Yeah, a good Monday morning to be waking up to.
I can imagine. How are you feeling after that game yesterday? It was a little bit nervy at some stages in the second half when Clare got back and took that 2-point lead, but really just the intensity, again, that word that we've used for Limerick, ratcheted up a little bit for Kilkenny then for that last quarter, I guess.
Yeah, it was a strange look to the old cliche, Shane. I thought it was a game of two halves, really. First half, I didn't think it was a great game, actually. I thought it was a mistakes more so on the Clare side. I think the way they set up in the first half with the sweeper system didn't suit Clare at all. I was very surprised that they actually did it. They didn't do it against Limerick, so why would they do it against Kilkenny? I can understand maybe the reasoning that maybe last year we got ahead of them in the first half and they couldn't draw it back, but that for me, that's where Clare lost the game. And then like the second half, it just exploded, lads. Like, I don't know whether you were there in Croke Park, but when Clare went ahead, that first point from Ian Galvin, and I think the 50th for her first minute, the place just erupted. It had to have been 4-1 for Clare up there in terms of support. And I was saying, we are in trouble here. And the one thing I was kind of saying, I was on local radio, I was saying, if Clare get their tails up and get the crowd behind them, they're going to be very, very hard to stop. And I was worried at that stage of the game, you know. And I suppose you talk about momentum swings and different shifts and big calls in the game, you know. We got a goal and that stemmed our momentum, and that was a huge turning point for a Kilkenny point of view.
It was, wasn't it? It was that, I guess Shane Morley playing that defensive role left the Clare forwards having to work probably twice as hard, which only added to it.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like it just totally stemmed the way even Clare played, I felt. You know, and first of all, Shane O'Morey, I didn't feel. First of all, he played the role well. I think it's after 25-30 minutes he was actually changed, and John Collins started playing the sweeper role in that first half. I don't know whether he's seen it, but he was taken off and he was put to be a man marking job, and Collins was a spare man. And I could just see like the likes of maybe David McInerney looking up, Ryan Taylor kind of looked up, Peter Duggan was kind of stem looking up, and there's only one man inside, and Richie Reid was in front. Shane O'Donnell was usually kind of the man inside, and Hugh Lawler was man marking him, and then they were kind of trying to go lateral across the field, and it was just breaking down and was just totally stemming the flow of Clare. You seen it maybe in the second half where Clare just came right at Kilkenny, the intensity just totally, you know, lifted, and they were hitting that full forward line where Galvin was inside. Mark Rogers started to play really well. Shane O'Donnell obviously came into the game, got a superb goal, and the whole tide just turned. And you can see in the first half, it was just stemming their tide. They were going lateral, and Kilkenny were just so ravenous in the tackle, and they were so clinical in what they were doing. They were just breaking down. That last pass was just failing, and then Kilkenny were able to start the momentum, and we had an outball to Owen Cody. Owen Cody was just in phenomenal form. He was just unmarkable. He was getting good quality ball, but he's also winning back ball and getting points on the scoreboard, you know, and that's just such a hard thing to do as a corner forward. You see Gillan maybe getting perfect ball and sticking it over the bar, but Owen was like working, winning ball back and throwing it over the bar. And as I said, two totally different halves, and I just felt Clare left it of the field. Their cautious approach in the first half really cost them.
So in that first half, Taggy, I was sitting behind Owen Murphy, right? I was in the Davin stand. So Richie Reid's looseness was very obvious to everyone in the Davin stand, and the option that was, I suppose, given then in terms of the restarts. We talk about Kilkenny not playing the short game in previous years, and they were excellent at it yesterday, and I think that was probably instigated by the fact that Brian Lohan decided to play with the sweeper, because I don't think Kilkenny would have gone with a sweeper ever. Would you agree?
Yeah, no, like Kilkenny don't go with a sweeper. We weren't going to go with a sweeper yesterday, that's for sure. It's not our style, it's not our mantra. Look, if needs be, like, managers aren't stupid, and Derek is not stupid. Like, if you'd have to go with a sweeper, you go with a sweeper. But this Kilkenny team, I feel there's enough of guys there to stand up, enough of kind of characters on the team, enough of experience in the team, and enough of good players to go one-on-one. So I feel that Kilkenny were never going to go sweeper. And you mentioned that there, Kilkenny this year, their use of the ball is a lot better than it has been over the years. Now, it has been coming into the team, in fairness. No, Brian was bringing it into the team. But I just think in the big game scenarios, it's okay when you're 10-12 points up in a league match, or maybe, you know, first round championship, you know, where it's not knockout. But we've seen it with Kilkenny maybe in our Ireland finals and semi-finals, where they kind of panic and they started to, you know, lump ball down on the full back line or on our full forward line, and we're losing out there. But yesterday, You know, they were taking that 50-50 pass where they were going lateral, they were finding the man in the best position, and our delivery into the forward line was excellent. You know, I thought it was really, really good. We were hitting Billy Ryan, we were hitting Owen Cody, and we were avoiding their sweep at Shadnamori, you know, and as I said, he probably didn't play the sweeper role well. He probably is not used to it, and you know, he wasn't finding himself in the better positions of cutting out them balls. But we were definitely more confident in that, playing the short role under the massive pressure of an Ireland semi-final, and we stuck to the plan. No, we didn't seem to panic. If anything, the panic came from Clare a small bit.
You know, the role obviously Adrian Mullen played yesterday, you know, there was a lot of doubt about whether he would start, but evidently he was critical to what Kilkenny did right yesterday, pink boots aside, but he was certainly, you know, the instigator of all of that, I suppose, really clever play around the middle of the field and chipped in with 2 points. You'd probably agree that he was kind of one of the mainstays yesterday in terms of getting Kilkenny over the line.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, I don't know if you're wearing pink boots and buying Cody's time, to be honest. I think to be the old Gold Cup black and white ones. That's you know, where are you going, them yokes? But
very brave.
Very brave. Yeah, so that's what Derek has brought to it. You know, a bit of you know, players can do kind of a bit more freedom on the pitch. But Adrian Mullen is a huge cog in that Kilkenny team, and has been for the last couple of years. And him to play, and he was in midfield. He was on, you know, David Fitzgerald was on him. He picked up Cotton Malone at times, but he got a score on the sideline, just a phenomenal score, putting over the bar on his left hand side. But his work rate, you know, but even talking to the guys there, like, he'd be in training, he's going, like, when you're sprinting, you're going like 100%. He's going 95% all the time. So he's making runs even off the ball, and he's sprinting, and you mightn't even see it, and he mightn't even get the ball, but he's dragging the player with him. And then he's just getting in tackles. He's getting in big hits. You know, I haven't seen the game back now, but I've seen one hit he gave John Conlon, and he left him on the ground. It wasn't really caught, and the ball's up the field. But these are massive hits, and he's just such a strong player, a real leader. And what he's kind of doing now, he's doing a job kind of like maybe Conor Fogarty kind of thing, that his work rate is huge, but he's chipping in with them 2 or 3 points. And if you leave him isolated in the middle of the field, he will put them over the bar. And lads have to kind of go out to him then and go, right, we have to pick up Adrian Mullen, and that leaves another gap up front for the opposition team. So a huge cog in the team. He was getting strapped. I was worried about him. He trained the week coming up to it, but the week coming up to it, you're only kind of poking around. You're not doing a whole lot of physical activity. So he was getting strapped beforehand. I was worried about him, but no, look, a great game. And to miss out on so much, you could probably do the running, but in that match intensity, to come back after kind of 4 or 5 weeks and get into it straight away, he's a great player.
That Kilkenny strength and depth as well, Taggy, like, it's probably one area in which they've improved and caught up to Limerick as well in some regard. Like, you look at the bench yesterday, Buckley, Walter Walsh, Richie Hogan, Billy Drennan, Cian Kenny comes in as well. Like, they have some serious options there.
Yeah, excellent options. Look, I think Derry coming in this year has marred this Kilkenny team very, very well. He's kind of rejuvenated the elder statesman. He could have came in and made a big statement and dropped 1 or 2 guys and said, I'm in, this is my team, my panel, but he didn't. He came in and he kind of, if anything, he's rejuvenated the older guys. Well,
if you look at Conor Fogarty's stop yesterday, I think Owen Murphy thought he was going to save the ball, and Fogarty's in before him. Yeah. You know, that's the discipline and the drive that's there in that setup. So Fogarty would probably be a player you're talking about there.
Fogarty, Walter Welsh coming on the last day, Richie Hogan even coming on yesterday. You know, obviously caught for a little bit of pace, but no, just that little bit of cuteness. To come on, Killian Buckley. You know, Killian Buckley haven't seen a whole lot of game time in the last 2 or 3 years. Never mind this year. You know, he's been in and out. He's been up with injuries, but he came on the bench, and that's another thing. He's getting married the day before the Ireland, so I don't know what's going to happen there.
Jesus, right.
So that was a bad mistake. You're talking about John Conlon's brother getting married, but I think he's down for the Saturday beforehand, so I don't know what's going to happen. It's crazy. But yeah, he has rejuvenated, and then he slipped in the likes of David Blanchfield. He slipped in the likes of Tom Phelan there into wing forward without any kind of fuss. You know, Billy Drennan is up to come on. Timmy Clifford is on the panel, and you know, and I won't say the guys are nearly happy to come off the bench and do a job, but they seem to be coming off the bench and making an impact, and that means they're kind of happy in say coming on and making a difference. And it's about the panel, it's about the spirit, and I think the Leinster finals after helping that immensely. The manner in which they won it, the last time I seen Kilkenny management team jumping around after winning the Leinster final was a long time ago, and I think that really brought them together in terms of spirit, in terms of, like, you know, obviously the night enjoyed it, Monday enjoyed it, and I think it really brought them together. You know, so as a panel, I think they're really together. I think they're really good spirit. They're coming up against a juggernaut now in 2 weeks' time. But yeah, for me, the bench, big difference yesterday towards Clare's bench. Brian Lohan took a long time there before he made changes. Derek was making changes 10 minutes into the second half because he knew they were coming at us. But on Walter Walsh, as you said, Killian Buckley, Pádraig Walsh, Richie Hogan, and they all, Kenny came on, got a point. They all made a bit of a difference. That was one key factor. And a lot of key factors yesterday. Owen Murphy save, lads. Oh, I don't know. It's one of the greatest things I've ever seen in Croke Park. Just phenomenal. First of all, for Peter Duggan, who actually played very well yesterday, in fairness to him. When he just volleyed it, I was there, goal, straight away. That's a goal. It has to be, because even the manner amount of players that was in front of Owen Murphy, even the time to get to see that ball, and then his athleticism just to kind of jump off the ground and get it, and not even stop it, not even get a hurl to it. Yeah, if you look at it back, he got a little flick to his wrist to even flick it up that little bit more higher, just onto the crossbar. And it was the save, has been said, a race save for the ages. It was just, and Owen Murphy, he just.
Well, you can send the All-Star in the post to Glenmore at this stage, can't you?
Oh, look, it's there. Yeah, no, 100%. It's in the back pocket. A no better man, and a lovely chap as well. And that was one save, and then he made another brilliant save as well in the first half. You have to remember as well. And his puck outs, everything, and he catching ball. There's the ball going over the bar, and he caught it. It was dropped. It looked like dropped short. But he actually caught it. It was going over the bar, and he just leapt off his feet and caught it. Just superb. But lads, that save, I've never seen that like it. One of the best saves I've ever seen in Croke Park. And in the context of the game, of where the match was at, in the enormity of the match itself, semi-final, it had everything.
I was saying to the lads that in that split second, the whole stadium went eerily quiet because no one knew where the ball was after Peter Duggan had volleyed it. And then it went nearly into fast forward when they realised that he had done this incredible thing. But aside from the incredible save, and something that's probably gone under the radar, is TJ Reid is now all-time top scorer with another incredible performance yesterday, and a real battling performance.
Yeah, for sure. And I suppose that was another aspect maybe of the win, how clinical Kilkenny were. The big players stood up. Owen Murphy in the goal, TJ Reid, Owen Cody stood up, Adrian Mullen, Conor Fogarty. These lads were just immense. But TJ Reid, lads, what I seen him doing yesterday, the man is 36 years of age next year. He was on the 14-yard line clearing balls, getting fouled. He was catching ball. He was bringing players into the game. He was winning frees. He was scoring unbelievable frees. Like it just looked so easy for him. But he was on his own 65. He was below. He was on the 70-yard line, and he's putting balls over the bar. And the man was just rolling back the years. Just so humble as a person himself. It's just second nature to him now to be turning up into these games and doing what he's doing. It was absolutely phenomenal. 12 points, I think, in total. Sideline cuts. Then you can throw it in for a bit of crack there towards the end to go 2 points up. It was absolutely phenomenal what he did. All-time scorer now. No better man deserves it better. At the beginning of the year, he was kind of struggling for a bit of match fitness, but we knew that the more matches TJ gets into him, the better he will get, and we need a massive one from him obviously in 2 weeks' time. But just in yesterday's performance, he was just absolutely phenomenal. And then the lad beside him, it's hard to believe a small club in Kilkenny like Ballyhale, and they're producing a TJ Reid and an Owen Cody and an Adrian Mullen. Like, that would take massive stopping in any club scene. I thought Owen Cody was just phenomenal. 1-5 from play. Everything, the goal even they got, and you talk about work rate, you talk about, I suppose, at the breakdown of the game, and the way they set up matchups. Mikey Butler did a great job on Tony Kelly once again, but you talk about the things that win matches, and I suppose managers want to talk about hooks, blocks, possessions, winning their own ball, all the kind of the cliche stuff really, and the easy talk about stuff. But that goal came from Billy Ryan, who was probably not having a brilliant game up front, but was doing his job in terms of getting flicks. He got that little flick in, and albeit a risky mistake from Rory Hayes to come out with the ball and try to run it out. But what do? Do you lump it long and be given out to just hitting aimless ball down the field, or do you stick to your game plan and try to run it out? And just got caught. And Owen Coy didn't have enough of time, but buried it in the back of the net. And if you look even at the Galway game the other night, not to go away from the Kilkenny game, the smallest of margins and the smallest of things wins matches. If you look at the save Owen Murphy made, came off the crossbar, and Hugh Lauder got a bit of a hit to clear kind of the lines more so. Got it out enough so the goal wasn't on. Mannion yesterday got a flick, or Saturday even, got a flick. Didn't even look to where he was hitting it, and it came to Glan, buried in the back of the net. And then the goal chance, maybe Conor Whelan missed. Well, it was more of a save, maybe more so from Casey. That the hand pass, it was just maybe 3 seconds, that little bit high. It looped up, and Conor Whelan had to wait for it to come down, allowing the defence to get back and kind of cover. If that hand pass was just like maybe TJ's, just inch perfect, that could have been a goal, And they're the fine margins to win matches, and they're the things maybe that Clare missed out on yesterday was the clinical of Kilkenny, taking the right option at the right time. There was wides. Clare only drove 9 wide, but still Kilkenny only drove 6 wides. You talk about such fine margins in big games.
Yeah, I think Clare had 23 wides in the same fixture last year, so clearly different from that perspective. Shane O'Donnell, brilliant game as well. Taggy, and probably unlucky. When someone has a performance like that in Croke Park in a semi-final and they're on the losing side, it's disappointing. Were you surprised on 70 minutes to see Aaron Shanahan coming into the fray so late? Obviously, I don't know if he was carrying a knock or whatever. I don't think he was, but some of the decision making from that regard by Brian Lohan
has put him in the red in the performance rankings.
Maybe that's why. Yeah. But were you surprised to see that, Taggy?
Look, it was. Yeah, I really was. I thought a few changes. I thought first of all at half time that they had to change the whole system, and they did. They went away from the sweeper system. I was very surprised that they didn't bring lads off the bench. I couldn't understand it. Aaron Shanahan for me is a kind of guy that comes on and he's a target, and if you're looking for goals and if you're looking to win the matches, if you had Aaron Shanahan and Peter Duggan in there, that's definitely an outball. He's done it in the past. He's got big goals. He's a ball winner. He can create havoc in that full forward line and just bring in something different, just to shake it up, because Clare were getting to grips of the game, but Kilkenny kept coming back at him, and they weren't really getting that 2-3 points ahead. So why not make the change? And if you look at the flip side, Derek made changes very, very quick. He emptied his bench, used 5 subs. I think that Clare only used 2, maybe 3 subs yesterday. I'm not too sure. But look, it goes in training, I suppose, as well, guys. You have to see, was he going well in training? Was he not? Was it just kind of pluck him out of the stand for the sake of it? But I would have put Aaron Shanahan on just for that outball, and if they're looking for a goal and they needed a goal towards the end of that game, they weren't going to win it by getting points. He was the man to put on. So maybe decision making there was a bit slow. We've seen it in the Munster final where Hayes on Galan, it should have been changed for me after 20-25 minutes, and he was left on. But look, it's easy me talk here on a Monday morning when they're in the heat of battle, and I find sometimes when they're on the sideline, for me anyway, it's actually very hard to see kind of sometimes what's going on the pitch. I like to be 10 seats up with a bit of height, so I can kind of have an overview of the match. So definitely changes there should have been made, I felt.
I was asking Jackie Tyrrell on Saturday how he'd deal with Galan, right? And he basically took out a copybook and tried to draw a diagram. Okay, he was going to play him from the front, from the side, from the left, from the right. There was a fella coming in behind. It was all.
There's only one way Jackie Tyrrell to play Galan now, and I think we know what way that would be. He'd be trying to shove him over that sideline every minute he'd get.
And I'd say he'd still love the chance. Yeah, I could see him itching to get in, but the shift now focuses to Limerick, doesn't it? And I suppose what you can do to suffocate the likes of Galan. And would you be worried?
Yeah, I'm worried about Galan, I'm worried about Flanagan, I'm worried about Hegarty, I'm worried about Lynch, I'm worried about 18 or 19 guys there in the green jersey, to be honest. Look, I'm going to enjoy this Clare one anyway for at least 24 hours, and I might sit down and think about it tomorrow. But no, Galan, I think Galan is he's in for hurler of the year. I think with Owen Cody, I think whoever wins the All-Ireland will probably end up picking it up. It depends on the All-Ireland performance, of course, but the 2 boys are in serious form. Galan is unmarkable. He's getting quality ball in. I think you have to stop it at source. Easier said than done. You say stop it at source. You saw the goal he got against Galway. He caught the ball over Dahi Burke. Not an easy thing to do. That was a 50-50 ball, realistically. And that's Galan coming in, just being cute and catching it. The man's on fire, but I still think he is making that Limerick team tick. Not just because of the match on Saturday night at the long, like when Limerick maybe haven't been going as strong as they were. He was the out guy. He was keeping them ticking over when they weren't playing that well, and he was getting scores. The man is phenomenal. One of the greatest corner forwards I've ever seen, and I suppose I bet corner forward myself, but his ability just to kind of have one touch into the hand, 3 steps, and it's either a goal or over the bar. That's serious hurling, and he's collecting the ball around the 21, like corner forward, and he must be starting literally on the end line then, and he must be timing his runs so much, because when you're a corner forward, you're making a run, and sometimes the ball is delayed maybe at 3 or 4 seconds. Next thing you're on the 21 and you're collecting the ball around the 40. That's no good really, because you're out the field and trying to get the score then, it's just harder. So his timing of the run, his lateral kind of running, of which and his ability to know, this is just playing with a team for so long, that the ability, he's going to know where that ball is going to be. That it's just all in sync at the minute. It's just all flowing for him. So
he's starting his run on the goalpost. So he's actually, his ankle is touching the goalpost on some instances, and this season I've had the pleasure of watching a lot of Munster Championship games in the stadium, and his run is so deep, and I had said that to Jackie as well, and he said, well sure, look, he's making so much space for himself, because as you said, if you're starting your run on the 21 and you're going out to the 40, you're eating into the space that you're trying to create for yourself. So that goalpost start is a game changer. It's
absolutely. Like, if Murphy now, you want to be strapped into that goal post if he could, and preventing his runs. But that's it. He's starting from so deep, and he's collecting the ball in the danger area of the 21. And his first touch is immense. He's brilliant in the air. He's a very, very, very strong guy. His hurl is, I think, a 32-inch, 33-inch. He's nearly unhookable. He's bringing guys into the game. You've seen his little deft touch there for Flanagan there, just one touch onto Flanagan, bang, over the bar. So as a unit, they're playing very well. Look, Limerick are just a different juggernaut altogether. They're actually, they got so much better in that second half. They were actually getting more physical, they were getting stronger, they were getting more confident, albeit that Galway went out of the game for the last 50 minutes completely. But still, look, they're just a different animal, and they're going for 4 in a row. I suppose just to whet the appetite a small bit. Where the last team that done the 4 in a row was Kilkenny, and look, Kilkenny are in the All-Ireland now, and they won't want a Limerick team to match their record of 4 in a row. So a little bit of motivation, or a little bit of media there for the next.
That's the chip on the shoulder that Owen Cody was talking about yesterday. I think you're feeling very hard done by there up in Leinster with all of your anti-Leinster bias.
I think that, I think it came out a little bit in Owen's speech maybe about the talk about Munster hurling, and now the All-Ireland is Limerick and Kilkenny again. But look, the Munster Championships was just brilliant. Like, it was point for point, and it was just phenomenal. It's just the standard of the teams in Munster are a little bit better than the standard of the teams in Kilkenny, but when they come down to the Kilkennys and the Galways, they can definitely compete with Munster teams. And you see Owen Cody there, small but alright, kind of in between the lines. If you read between the lines, you can see it coming out with small but alright.
Yeah, slightly.
There was no lines, Taggy. There was no lines.
Very honest. Yeah. Can I finally ask you, Taggy, before we let you go, from a Kilkenny perspective, what did you make of the refereeing performance yesterday?
Look, I thought he was relatively good. Look, obviously the big call was the goal that was disallowed. But I felt that they gave him, the ball was hit in. Hugh Lauder, yes, he caught the ball and dropped it, and the whistle was blown. And I just felt that the whistle was gone that millimetre of a second before he latched onto it and before the goal. I felt even Lawler kind of maybe stopped his run slightly, because whether he heard the whistle or he just felt that they were going to get the advantage and it was a free. So that's obviously the big talking point. I know Malone came out and he was kind of giving out about the referee and things like that. I thought overall his display was relatively good. Yes, we won the game. If we lost the game, I would have said the same, to be honest.
Fair. Okay. I believe you. I
don't.
Taggy, great stuff as always. Thanks a million.
Thanks, Taggy.
Thanks, lads. All right, thank you.
Brilliant stuff in Taggy Fogarty, former Kilkenny hurler, there with us.